So this training we're going to take a look and really dive in on what you say you want. Like, what is it that you actually want? What is it that you actually want? What do you want? And so in this training, we're going to really dive in a way that you probably have never considered to reveal something that would really make a difference, that really leave you with a consideration around what you want in a way that's never been there or never been possible. And so, like always, I want you guys just to clear out the things in your mind that you think this training is going to be about, where this is going to go, and just get open to like what's being said and what you start hearing as we go through this. But you might be able to hear something new. So we're not just having the same training. Have you ever noticed that we do that with trainings? That we go into a training, we hear a topic, and we start throwing up all of the old stuff in our head, like all the things that we already know. We're like, oh, I already know this. And we start throwing up the entire lesson plan before the lesson or the training has even begun. And it ruins the lesson. You're not in it at that point. You're actually not in the training because what training are you actually in? You're in your old training, the one that you already know about what you want in this case. And I'm just going to challenge you, and it's not easy to do. I'm going to challenge you to take a moment to just delete or clear out all the noise in your head about what you think you know about this. And let's start fresh to have just a brand new conversation around what it is you want. Okay, so your life has been filled with chasing the carrot. I love this image. But you have spent your life chasing carrots. And thing after thing, accomplishment after accomplishment, you never quite catch the carrot. Like you get a taste of it, right? Like it started really young. You graduated from kindergarten, and there you are. My my son's in kindergarten, and it's like we have graduations for this thing now. And it's like, yes, I did it. Well, what's next? Well, next I graduate from, middle school. It's like we have the ceremony, and we go through and we celebrate for 30 minutes, and then what's next? Well, now I'm going to graduate from high school. And then we go on to the next thing. It's like, okay, well, what's next in life? Okay, now I go to college and I graduate from college. Okay, then what's the next thing? Well, in order to, be happy, the next thing or, the thing that would be next for me in my life would be to find someone I love. Great. So then you go and you do that thing. And then it's like, okay, well, what's the next? Okay, well, the next thing is to get married. And then you get married. And then it's like, well, okay, well, what's next? What's the next carrot? Well, seems like everyone's having kids. I guess what we do is we have kids now. And then you add kids into the equation. And then it's about your job and getting promotions, and it's about your business and getting different numbers. And like we're constantly, you can really see it. That's all we're having a conversation around is human nature. You can really see that it's in our nature to be chasing carrots. And it's fascinating to look at what we think we're actually doing versus what's actually happening. From the time that we were 5, 6 years old, we are doing and we're doing the exact same thing that we're doing even now. It's just a different story. It's a different thing that we're telling ourselves. It's about something new. But really, isn't it the same thing? Has it changed at all? And what's running us? Is it running us or are we running it? Like that's really the part that I get that is where you get access to power. Is who's running this thing? Because when you're doing the kindergarten thing and then the middle school graduation, high school, getting married, it's like it was really in your context to do it. It was almost like not even an option, right? Like how many of you knew early on that like someday like it was just what you did to go get married? Or how many of you knew is like what you do in life is you go get a job? Or how many of you knew that like what you do in life is you graduate from high school? Right? It's like it wasn't even a question. It's like we just knew that's what we got to go do. And so you really didn't even get to choose it. It's like life has been running you. And I want to give you access to running your life. to having choice and the real freedom that people are looking for. And in discovering your why and like what you want, you'll get to be behind the driver's wheel in a way. So, what is it that you want? There's lots of options. We often don't know what we want because we make it complicated. I have coached and talked to tons of people, and this topic at some point gets brought up. And it's like people are clueless around what they want. They really are. You know, I talk to people about going to trainings and they're like, I don't even know what I want. You know, and some people it's because they have everything. Some people it's because they have nothing. And they're so used to life running them that they don't think they're even in charge. They don't even think they have control of what carrot they're chasing or what comes next for them. Because life, literally life, has been telling them what the next carrot is. And they've just been following along, doing the thing. If what we wanted was simple, then I could actually have what I wanted. So we'll say things like this. Well, if it was simple, you know, then I could have what I wanted. Like, the things I want are just really complicated. And that's why I don't get what I want. That's why I don't try to know what I want anymore, because it's just not simple. And we confuse surface level things with what we want to hide what we truly want or we think we can't really have. So there's like this thing that we do, this carrot that's out there that we keep chasing, because what we really want, what we truly want, we don't want to look at. Like, we would rather be in the stands than in the game of life. We'd rather play small because playing big would create the option of failing. And we would rather live this mediocre thing than have the option of putting it all out there and failing. And so we go for like small wants to cover up what we really want. And these surface level goals, these surface level wants really cover up this deeper thing. That we're even blind to it a lot of times. Common confusions. We often think that what we want is for a living. Or we often think that what we do for a living is what we want. So this like idea of like a job or a career is like the want. I get people that when I'm like, well, what do you want? Well, I want a better job. I want more money. I want more management or like a bigger team, and they think that's the thing. Or we often think that who others see us as is what we want. I want to be a leader. I want to be respected. I want to have others appreciate me or to be loved. We often believe that money, talents, knowledge, etc. is something that should be on that list. Like what we want consists of like tangible things or certain knowledge, certain life events. Like I want to have the experience of, or some skill or talent. And I'm not saying that saying you want those things is wrong. It's not at all. That's just not this training. And I would even say, in a way, it's part of this training because it's you chasing those carrots your whole life and taking this moment and this training to reflect on that, to see the insanity of it, that you might actually see what it's been you've been wanting this whole time. Like this thing you've been chasing, you can look at the insanity of constantly getting it, constantly doing it, constantly having a new carrot right after, that you might actually see what it is you really wanted. And so none of those things were wrong. In fact, you could almost say they were designed to have you discover this. So is it power or force? This is a common area that I go into. Like the distinctions around, is it powerful or forceful? Power being a function of the velocity in which you get what you want, force being a way that you control it and get stuck. Now, you can want things from a place of force. It happens all the time. In fact, it's New Year's. People are getting all ramped up. They're like, yeah, I want to work out, right? And I would say most people that set these goals around working out is out of force. It's like, I got to look good, right? Well, that's force. Why are you doing it? For others. Or it's like, I got to do this because, I've got this vanity thing, or, I want this beach body for the holidays or whatever. And I'm not saying that these are bad. Like, I'm guilty of this kind of stuff. I'm just saying that I want you to see like what we're talking about when we're talking about force. Setting something from a place of force involves others. It involves things outside of yourself. It's not something that just draws from within and you're like, I just want to work out because I just want to work out. Like it really, I wake up in the morning, I'm like, yeah, I'm just really excited about this. And I'm not saying that you won't have some of that also, but you can see the difference. It's a power that comes from within when it's power. We often choose force because there's a payoff, a result that seems positive, right? If I have to work out so I can get a girlfriend, or I have to work out so that someone will love me, or I have to work out so that someone will stay with me, or so that I look good, or whatever. There's a result. This is why we do these things. We call them payoffs. And the payoff is great enough that we keep using force as a way of getting the things that we want or think we want. I'm going to quote that, think we want. Example, I want money. This will seem like it works because the payoff is money. But if this is our motive, the end result will be shallow, empty, and have no meaningful results. So it's like you would get money, you would have an extension of it, but maybe it wouldn't last. Maybe it'd be something that didn't stick around. Maybe it'd be like a flow or a jump in money, but the consistency of it about how much you were able to have and keep over the year would be about the same. And so you would know that there wasn't a shift there. But the result would be you got money. Yay, got money. And I'm not saying that money is bad either. Like, of course not. I love money. I think money is a great tool. Like, I'm an advocate of money. You guys know that. What I'm saying is force, when we use force, the velocity in which money shows up for us is minimal. When you have power, power is a measure of the increase in velocity which you get what you want. So to have it powerfully, to draw it and attract it from inside of you, would bring it with a velocity you've just never experienced. And it would be easy. Imagine that. It'd be actually easier, simpler. Payoff versus cost. I want to go through like this idea of like, why do we keep choosing these payoffs? Well, we've been domesticated this way, guys. From the time you were very little, we began to take these payoffs. Many of them were offered to us out of innocence, but we agreed to take them. We were like the little child getting in trouble. Don't do this, or else you'll go to timeout, or else you'll get a spanking, or else. Or it's like, do this and you'll get a cookie, or you'll get this, right? We would set up these crazy payoffs. And it wasn't us, like we were just domesticated this way. Our parents did it, schools did it, religion did it. Like it's just who we are. It's very common. Most of humanity operates out of force. And it's fine. It's designed and there to have you see that there's maybe a greater, simpler, easier way for this to work to get more of what you want with more velocity. What we often didn't realize was what cost I am paying for this small payoff. So like as parents, we would do this to our kids, right? Go to timeout or go do this. We'd have these, and I do it still. It's like these crazy like things that I punish my children with have nothing to do with what they did. It's like, what did timeout have to do with hitting your brother, right? It's like nothing. Like the punishment does not associate with the crime. There's no natural consequence of timeout to hitting your brother. But we take these payoffs all the time. And what I want to take a moment on is like, what is the actual cost? What are we missing out on that might and could be possible if we stop taking these payoffs and actually did the work for once and actually really dove into it to get clear so that we weren't operating out of this force area, okay? So there's a great book called The Four Agreements, and I remember this, and it really moved me when I read this part in this book. And I took this excerpt right out of the book. But Don Miguel Ruiz is one of his best novels, one of his best books, was The Four Agreements. And he told this story of a little girl who once used to dream, and she knew what she wanted. Like she knew who she was. And after a single incident, she took the payoff. And I'm literally saying she did. She was like really young, but she took the payoff and paid the ultimate cost. And this picture kind of illustrates what happened in the book. But this girl is just jumping on the bed, right? She's just this free spirit, and she is just singing. And I mean like belting singing. She's jumping on the bed, singing as loud as she can. And her mom just got home from a hard day of work. And she is tired. And she is not in the mood to be hearing Susie or whoever it is that's on this thing jumping and screaming on the bed. And so what she does is the mother goes up to her daughter and with regret later just ends up yelling at her daughter. And it's like, shut up, you sound awful, like your singing sounds terrible, just be quiet, in her rage or her upset. And all that happened was her mom said some things, right? But the daughter really took it to mean like, I am a terrible singer. And from that day forward, never sing again, like ever. And she bought this idea, or this belief, that what her mom said was true. And there were payoffs in both of these stories, the one that the daughter took and the one the mom took. And the ultimate cost was that the daughter never sang again. And the cost for the mom was this thing around disciplining, right? And things that you say or get wrapped up in and how it affects others. Like that was the cost. But it worked, right? She got her silence for the night. Her daughter stopped singing, yelling, and screaming on the bed. But the ultimate cost was far greater than the payoff. And we do this, guys. This is an example that's really clear to see, but we do this in our life all the time. We take payoff after payoff after payoff, thinking that it works, thinking it's actually getting us what we want, and it doesn't. It's insane. It is literally crazy. Force works until it doesn't. Hitler was a great example of this. Hitler was a prime example of this, and he led and controlled millions of people. The payoff was he obtained wealth, social status, leadership, and power. Power with a lowercase p, not the kind of power that we're talking about that actually gives you access to what you want. Now, what do you think the cost was, guys? He got the payoff. He ran and ruled with force. He controlled millions of people. But what was the cost? Well, we know what the cost was to a lot of other people. And we know that ultimately it cost him his own life. And that the guilt and the fear that consumed him had him take his own life. And so these are like extreme examples of this. But like we will remember this man this way for eternity. And I'm just shining a light on something. But he could have been someone really different. He could have been someone that obtained all those things with a capital P and really made a difference for people, really did things differently. And so we take the payoffs, guys, because they're there. I mean, wealth, social status, like leadership, what people consider power, like those are big payoffs. But the ultimate cost will kill you. And in this case, this is an example where it did. It literally did. Because it's a lie that we keep investing in. And it doesn't ever last. Just look at any time, any story where we're taking it this way, when we're using force, you'll see it doesn't stick. And people live and die in this all the time. I'd say 90% of humanity lives and dies in this idea of chasing the carrot out of a place of force. So we're going to take a moment to kind of discover what it is we want. And we're going to start off with the things that you do want. We're just going to just get open and start thinking and saying the things in your head that you actually want. Don't judge them, just list them off. Like there's no wrong answer here. Maybe money. Money's probably on there, and that's great. Money's still on mine. Absolutely. It's still something I want. Just it has my life work. It has things run simpler. It's a way that I can move things with velocity. Maybe fame. Maybe you want to be famous. You want to be known. You want to have your stamp in society. You want your recognition, respect. You might want some toys, like a house or like a vehicle or an upgraded vehicle or something that you currently don't have that you really want. Fine. Great. Nothing wrong with that. You want acceptance from others. Who doesn't? Right? Like we all want that. Then what we'll do and what I want you to look at is this what you really want? Or what would you do with this? Like, is this what you really, so you can kind of like play this. Is this what I really want? Like I want a house or a new house or a bigger house. Great. Is that what you really want? Or what would this do for you? What is this house? What do you imagine it? What's the story you're telling around what it would do for you? So let's do some examples of this. So I want money. This would buy me more toys, get me out of debt, and allow me to travel. Toys would be fun. I'd play with them. I'd share them with others. Being out of debt would provide less stress. Collectors would stop harassing me. I could begin to save. Traveling would inspire me. It would allow me to see the beauty in the world and experience openness or be open to culture and ideas. So that would be like money. So it's not really money, right? Because it's like, what would you do with money? You got to dive in a little bit. Well, let's dive into each one individually. Having toys and playing with others would provide me with happiness and joy. Okay? Being out of debt would lessen my stress and provide me peace and serenity. By saving, I would experience freedom or maybe an increase in freedom. Traveling would allow me to see the beauty in which would provide me with love. Experience others, cultures, and ideas would provide me with openness, acceptance, and love for all. So you start to see like the levels shed, right? So really, what is it that you wanted? Was it the thing? Or was it the experience of the thing? Was it love? Like, is that what you really wanted to experience? Or joy? Maybe peace, happiness, clarity, serenity, self-acceptance, self-worth, freedom, courage. You wanted to inspire people. You wanted to assist others. What you really wanted was just to lose your judgments, not be so judgmental, to accept others, to have purpose, like to really be a person of purpose, to be creative, or to be forgiving. Also to be compassionate. You'll find, guys, in your wanting this, ultimately. And you might get clear. There's this really just like backwards thing that works, that once you discover you already have what you want, or you're willing to wait, like there's this time thing also, like you're willing to wait forever around the thing that you want, and that moment it arrives, it shows up. And like getting clear on your wants and really digging in and going, oh my gosh, like the reason I wanted the toy was to play, to have fun, to have joy, and just like celebrate, right? And it's like, wow, in that moment, can you see how you're experiencing joy? The moment you get that, like the moment you see it. And it's like, do you have to have a toy to do that? No, of course not. Would it be fun? Yeah, great. Am I, because I'm already experiencing joy and I can experience it without that, am I willing to wait? Yeah, I'm willing to wait for that toy. And in that moment that you're willing to wait, you're willing to have it take as long as it's going to take, guess what happens? It shows up. And we've read these books, we've watched these movies, like there's this thing called The Secret and how all this works and the law of attraction, and this is the ingredient piece. And knowing what you really want is going to help give you access to that, because the moment you know what you want, like the moment you've got that and it's right in front of you, you realize you have it already. And you're willing to wait whatever time length, whatever, to have the thing that was in front of the wanting, that wasn't real. And it's in that moment that you're okay not having it. Because force disappears at that point. It shows up. It arrives. The law of attraction will bring it into your life. So is that what you want? So now you can ask, will that give me what I want? Could what we want possibly have nothing to do with what we thought it used to mean? Like this, we used to get asked, right, at the beginning of this, you might have even heard the question for yourself, what is it you want? And you're starting to get a sense that what I thought that question meant has nothing to do with what it really means. I'm starting to get an idea of like what it means to know what I want. Could it be that simple? Like it seems really simple when you break it down like this. Maybe everything in your life maybe everything in our life experiences is perfect, and we just forgot who we are. So maybe what we want we already have, okay? And what we say we aren't, we actually are. And that everything we've experienced up to this point has been perfect in our life, and everything that we think we want, we actually are. You want joy? Guess what? It's going to sound crazy. You are that already. You are already the expression of it. You've just been lying to yourself. You want happiness? Guess what? It sounds crazy, but you already are that. What if you were just joy? Like you wanted the toys, the play, blah, blah, and it's like you just were that. What if you're just happy? What if you couldn't have it both ways? You couldn't have conditions on this stuff, guys. This carrot. I'll have joy when. I'll have happiness once. And there's these outside factors that play into you having joy and having happiness. Guess what? It doesn't work like that. That's force. It's really easy to see. The moment it resides outside of yourself, it's force. So you can't have it both ways. There's no conditions you can put on this stuff. Can you always be happy if you put conditions on it? Well, I would be happy if, or I'd be more happy when. You hear it, like you hear the tone or the thing. That's the carrot. When we talk like this or we think like this, you're just setting yourself up. You just got that carrot out there. It's like someday, maybe. So conditions equal payoff. What if what we're missing out on, guys, by taking the payoffs of force is this. What if it's all this? What if this is what the cost is that we're missing, is actually experiencing the thing that's wanting? And we're constantly chasing the carrot because we have all these conditions on how it should show up. And the reason we keep not experiencing love, joy, peace, happiness, clarity, on and on and on, is because it's not an equation. Like, for those of you who are into science, it's not an equation that works. Conditions do not equal these things. It's like you could put, like, conditions do not equal what I want. And the moment I drop conditions and I realize this is what I already am, and I'm willing to wait or have this other thing that's like this tangible, this thing outside of myself, take as long as it's going to take, in that moment it arrives. It just shows up. It's there. Because there's no resistance towards it anymore. It's just, it is available at that moment. And you can see very clearly what it would take to have it. Like, it's just, it gets really clear. So what would be possible? So in this world that you have created with conditions and limited possibilities, what would be possible if you would just be what you wanted? What could be a possibility around this? Like, well, I want money. Okay, well, money would buy me these things, ultimately leading to joy or fun, some form of pleasure. What if you just were that? What if you just really got that all the time? What would be possible for you around the very thing that you said originally you wanted? What would be possible around money? What then could exist? What would be possible? Maybe the life you always dreamed of, but thought you didn't deserve. Some of the conditions we set up for ourselves also has to do with this thing that we don't think we deserve it. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to have joy. I don't deserve to have the things in my life that would make it easier, simpler, more convenient. And so you spend the rest of your life proving to yourself you're right. It's like, yep, you're right. You don't. And I'm here to add some clarity that you're already those things. And you've just been lying to yourself. So you could just, I guess, keep that thing going and keep telling yourself you don't deserve it. It's not worth going for. It can wait. Or I'll never have it. Or there's these conditions. There's these things that are keeping me from having it. Okay, got it. I got it. Or you could take a moment to really just get, this is who you are. And that literally, like, it, I know the insanity, like how insane this sounds, but literally anything you want, you could have. This is your reality to create. It would just require you to inquire. It would require you to inquire on what it is you really want. And you'd have to take some time on this. You'd have to really look at it.